Paulie just told me, we were out in the kitchen, and he said, a shocking sports retirement. Somebody is retiring from one job and taking a job in a different field, and it's a shocking sports retirement.
I think this is very fair to say this is shocking. The person's name is Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN, the longtime NBA newsbreaker, writer, analyst. He is retiring from ESPN and retiring from sports media. Like, he's not going elsewhere. Guess where he's going? Who wants to take a shot?
Retiring from sports media.
He is no longer a sports media member, especially in this role. He cannot be. There's the hint.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to say that he is going to work for a gambling website.
Oh, that's a good guess. That's a very good guess.
Even further away, he is going to be the new general manager of St. Bonaventure University basketball.
Fire, dude. Wow. Let's go. That's awesome.
The Bonnies.
I love that.
Wow.
Yeah. He wrote a long note, and he talked to ESPN and said that he's having a life shift. He's going to be the GM of the men's basketball program at St. Bonaventure, effective immediately.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
dude,
for
that
him.
is awesome.
Yeah.
He's a 1991 graduate of the school, distinguished alumnus from the Jandoli School of Communication.
That's great. That's awesome for Woj.
And he broke the news of it, by the way.
Oh, he did?
He did.
Because if Shefty did,
Oh.
or if Shams did,
Shams so upset.
that would be bad. That would be bad. If Shams broke the Woj news, that is surprising. That's at the height of your powers. And St. Bonaventure gave us Bob Lanier. Yes, Marvin.
Who's the greatest insider in the history of sports?
I would say Mort was for me, because it was different back then. Now it feels like everybody is being fed things. Felt like Mort really worked the room. And I've said this before, that when Mort told me something, then it was true. I didn't need a second source. I just said, all right, Mort's reporting this. And he was rarely wrong. But I knew who he knew, and therefore you're getting the information. You know, it's another thing. I think Glazer is different, and it's not that Adam Schefter doesn't work hard. We know he does. Glazer took a different route. He went with players and coaches, and it felt like Mort might have gone with coaches, agents, GMs. Shefty probably leans more towards the front office and getting information. So I would say Chris Mortensen, just because I was at the mothership when he was there. I didn't work with Shefty, and I knew that if Mort said, hey, I got some breaking news. Or there were times when I would say to Mort, hey, I heard this, but they're asking me to get a second source. And then Mort would come back and he goes, you're right. And I would say, you take it. You know, that's not what I do, break news. And Mort was a very, very generous person. And he was a great team player. So I would just lean towards that because of my relationship with Mort. But Shefty is, emeritus there. I'm waiting for these insiders to get gobbled up by a gambling site where all of a sudden, you're paying for information. Now, it's going to change because of who's giving you the information, knowing where that information is going. Shefty is working on countdown, so it's different. And I think these gambling sites probably looking to get that extra advantage. If I can find out 5 minutes before you do, now I can change the line. I can change the prop bet. Whatever those things are, that to me seems like the next frontier where you're getting that inside information. And this is what the NFL is really trying to be very cautious of. They have to be. If you don't know that Christian McCaffrey is going to play and then somebody knows that he's not going to play, and then that could change the point spread. That could change a lot of things there. But, good for Woj. Once again, I say this a lot because it took me until I was 50 to understand quality of life. But you kind of have to go through it yourself. And maybe Woj is like, I don't want to be tied to this phone all the time. I don't want to have to, hurry up and break the news. I mean, all I know is when I was breaking college football news during the pandemic, I was just given the information because I had two great sources with the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. And so they were giving me the information. And after a while, then all of a sudden, like people coming after you, guys who do this for a living, and I'm like, this isn't what I do. When I said the Big Ten's going to shut down their season, all of a sudden I got guys who do this for a living. Like they're not shutting down the season. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm like, I do know what I'm talking about. I don't want to be that person. And Woj, now you're not married to that phone anymore. And it's a breath of fresh air for him and a new challenge. Awesome. But I did that when I left ESPN. It's like, God, I'm going to leave. Nobody leaves. And then my wife kept saying, eventually you got to figure out quality of life. And I go, I got it. Of course I do. And then I realized I didn't. So maybe, Woj, you just have that epiphany and you get to that point, but somebody can't tell you, hey, why don't you leave quality of life? You have to understand it, and then you make that decision. Yes, Paul.
Marvin was asking the greatest insider in history. Woj did get to a point in the past 15 years where he was running the NBA draft, where the draft ran through his Twitter account, and you had to put it off.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No, but it does show the unbelievable access he had on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I still didn't like that when they tipped picks with the NBA. In fact, I didn't want any part of that. Or if Glazer would do it, I didn't want any part of that.